Hi everyone, Jeremy here, Modern Vitality. In today's video, getting a good night's sleep, how to help insomnia from chronic fatigue syndrome or CFS-ME. This is extremely important. Why is it so important? Well, because as anyone who is afflicted with chronic fatigue syndrome will tell you, the exhaustion is profound. The lack of energy, it can be debilitating. So we have to think of how does our body build up its energy? And one of many, there's more. It's not just sleep, but one of the biggest factors we have is sleep, but not just any sleep. It has to be high quality sleep. There are different types of sleep. Did you know that? It's very interesting. So the desire to nap, sleep, all that, to rest, right, with chronic fatigue. And people who don't understand, they say, well, why don't you just sleep if you're tired? Why don't you just go to sleep? Well, sometimes the body can't generate the right kind of sleep, which is why you can take a nap or you can get 10 hours of sleep and still wake up exhausted. I know this is bad for morale, okay? I know this gets old after a while. I understand, all right? I get that. So in this video, we're going to be exploring how to get a good night's sleep with chronic fatigue syndrome. And we're going to be looking, as always, if you're familiar with me, Modern Vitality, this channel, the way I work, we have to be ready to have an expanded paradigm and be able to look at the bigger picture and start to understand all these different variables that are affecting our ability to sleep well. So let's get started. So first, let's talk about insomnia a little bit. Sometimes the idea of insomnia means we're laying awake at night, like we just can't sleep. Okay, that's one level. It's like you go to bed, you brush your teeth, do all the stuff, and you go to lay down in bed and you're just staring at the ceiling and it's miserable, right? That's not fun. That's one type of insomnia. So we're going to differentiate these, okay? Another type, a second type, is that you brush your teeth, lay down, get ready for bed, you go to sleep, and then what happens? A few hours later, you're up, awake, like jazzed. Right? It's 1 a.m. or 3 a.m. or whatever. You're like, da, 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 also a problem. Again, staring at the ceiling, trying to figure out, okay, what are we doing here? How do I get back to sleep? So there's trouble falling asleep and then there's trouble staying asleep. And those are two different things. One of them, right, trouble falling asleep, we look at entirely differently than trouble staying asleep. It has different mechanisms. And then of course, difficulty staying asleep, we want to look at some of the other factors because sometimes what happens is we have to wake up to pee. Right? Oh, I fell asleep just fine, but I wake up to urinate every 2 or 3 hours, and that's very disruptive. And then sometimes you wake up to pee, and then you can't fall back asleep. Okay, that's one thing to start to differentiate. Another one are external factors is, a noise. Somebody's snoring next to me in bed, right? It's hard to sleep through that. It's a disruption. It's external. Little kids, young children coming in. I had a bad dream, and then now you're awake, right? All those things. If you got a cat and your cat is wants to lay on your face while you're trying to sleep, these are all external factors. So obviously we have a little bit of lifestyle work we can do around that. But what I'm going to focus on here are the internal factors, right? Because, if you have a cat laying on your face or your partner snoring, there are kind of ways to fix that don't require biological interventions for you with your system. But what we're looking at are those things like, waking up to urinate. That's one reason. Some people wake up from vivid dreams or nightmares, and now I'm awake. And other times we wake up for no reason, it seems. We just open our eyes and it's 3 a.m. and it's nowhere near time to wake up. And now we have to figure out how to get back to sleep. This can be really frustrating. So we have trouble falling asleep, trouble staying asleep. And then there's a third kind of a secret insomnia that nobody really talks about because it's not technically insomnia, but, right? If the function of sleep is to do certain functions and jobs so that we can be healed a little bit, have some immune activity, have some brain cleaning, there's a lot that goes on with our sleep. If that's the goal of sleep, then I would offer there's a third type of insomnia, which is just you are sleeping, it's just low, very low quality, meaning you're technically sleeping, right? But you're kind of just phoning it in. Your brain's not going through the cycles it needs to go through. Your immune system's not being able to do the work it needs to do. So yes, technically you were unconscious, but you woke up and nothing's really changed. Now I see all of these, right? All these three different types of insomnia with complex chronic inflammatory conditions with the patients I work with, right? It's just part of the deal. We're going to have sleep disruption. And there's different reasons for that, which we'll get into. But one of the things I want you to understand is that you have to differentiate those three types, okay? So that you know which one is more appropriate to you so that you have goals to work on because it's hard to measure things, right? If we're not paying attention to them. So for example, people that have trouble falling asleep, well, that's pretty easy to start to know if it's getting better because you're falling asleep more easily, right? And people who have a trouble staying asleep, that's pretty easy to measure because you notice you're not waking up so much if it's getting better. But for the people who are technically asleep but not getting good quality, that can be harder to measure. And this is where sometimes people want to use biometrics, right? Like a Oura ring is really popular, or maybe you're going to do a sleep study, or maybe you're going to do some kind of thing where you've got electrodes hooked up to your head that are just measuring your brain waves. I don't know how in depth you want to go, right? Those are the more quantitative ways, but the qualitative way is actually going to be how you feel in the morning when you wake up. And I would say that applies to all types of insomnia and sleep trouble. Is one of the best qualitative markers is when it's time to wake up, how do you feel about that? Right? How do you feel about starting your day? Is it like, oh no, I'm not ready, I'm exhausted, right? But you just woke up. Or is it starting to be where you're getting a little pep and going, you know what, I think I could take a walk this morning, or whatever, I'm excited about the day, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe I'm going to make breakfast, right? Maybe I'm going to sing a song, whatever it is, when you start to feel like you're jumping out of bed. These are important changes to track as you're healing from these conditions. Okay, it's very important. So we've differentiated it. Now let's talk a little bit about sleep quality, and what's actually going on here. We have multiple systems in our body. Okay, immune system, digestive system, neuroadrenal, blood circulation. There's more, right? Hormonal systems. There's a lot. Reproductive system. I'm going to stick with the first few because those are the most pivotal for people who are dealing with complex chronic health conditions. These are where we get the biggest leverage points from. So we're going to focus on immune, digestive, neuroadrenal, and we'll talk a little bit about blood circulation. Okay. One of the things with sleep is that a lot of things have to happen right for you to get really good sleep. And we have sleep hygiene, which we'll get into as well, which are the practices you can do, things you can do in your lifestyle, which is becoming more popular now. It's good. People are starting to respect the circadian rhythm, right? They're doing things like, well, let's talk about it now. They're doing things like blue blocking glasses to try to get the lights from computers and cell phones and all that to stop throwing off your pineal gland. That's good. Sometimes people are taking no screens, right? We take all this stuff out of the bedroom, right? No phone at all. That's even better than blocking the blue light, right? Is no blue light. Just kick your phone out of your room. Okay. People even go a step further. I've been enjoying this as well, is that once it gets dark out, no more overhead lights, just candles. You want to hang out, talk to your spouse, play a game of cards, read a book, whatever. You can actually do it with candles. It's a different type of light. It's different than your light bulbs. And it's softer on our eyes, softer on our brains. It can help you fade into sleep a little more easily. If you think about humans, how we evolved, we didn't have LED lights, right? If we wanted to stay up after dark, we had a campfire, right? Firelight. We're used to that. We've got more history with that. And also we'd usually be having a fire and talking and laughing and, singing songs with our tribe or our family or whatever. So it's not so much being isolated, staring at your phone with the blue light coming back. And that's where we get our connection, right? There's a lot of problems with the convenience of modern living in terms of biological incompatibility. Okay. So whenever we can, we try to go to the old ways as best you can. So maybe that looks like lighting a candle instead of the overhead light. These are little habits. Okay. There are things about the circadian rhythm where when we're looking at sleep quality, we're trying to go down for the night. We're trying to calm everything down, which is normal. We think about that. So this kind of stuff, like don't eat too late, try to stop eating a few hours before you're going to go to bed. Obviously no caffeine, right? Like after 1 p.m., 2 p.m., sometimes noon. I mean, this stuff has a long half-life. Really, you shouldn't be having much caffeine at all outside of the morning because it's still going to be in your system hours and hours later if you want to affect the downward arc of your circadian rhythm to be able to go to sleep more easily. Okay. And this is advice for any human being. This isn't even specific to complex chronic inflammatory conditions. It's just, I would suggest that if you have a disease, an illness, a diagnosis, something that's really significantly throwing off your life, that you pay special attention to general advice that's like, try to optimize the human aspect first before you work on the disease part. Sometimes we might find that actually if we get our human needs met, meaning dark at night, no caffeine, all that kind of stuff, that actually a lot of the disease pieces tend to fall away. Not always, but sometimes we can get superior leverage just by treating ourselves as a human and giving ourselves that quality of care and trying to replicate a lifestyle that's not so out of sync with nature. All right, that's a little bit of a tangent, but we get that sometimes. So most of the time with sleep, we're trying to emphasize the downside. We're trying to sedate, okay, going quieter at night, which is great. The other side of that is in order to fall to sleep at night, you have to rise during the day. Okay, and this is one of these cool things where we're learning more and more where science is coming in and now validating the traditional practices and the traditional advice, which is good, of waking up, getting outside, getting a bit of sunshine. If there's sun, even if there's clouds, a cloudy day, you can still be outside and get some sun through the clouds. Still really important, because the more you get that message to your brain and to your body in the morning that morning time is for up, then the easier it will be to get the message of evening time is for down. I hope this is making sense. I'm oversimplifying it with the directionality, but I mean, we are moving through cycles. Of course, cycles, right? Rise in the morning so that we can relax and rest at night. If you think of it as a wheel, you're spinning the wheel. Morning time goes up, evening time goes down, and these things work together. So if you want to have a good night's sleep, it starts in the morning, right? Just like if you want to have a good morning, it starts the night before. It's a cycle. So we have to respect that. Now let's talk about some of the physiology and the pathology. When we have complex chronic inflammatory conditions and we have just inflammation everywhere, this can be overwhelming, okay? And the reason why, and I've said this a million times, I'm going to keep saying it, is that when you have these conditions, there are multiple triggers and multiple causes all acting at once onto your body, which is a complex system. Multiple causes. Because our body's very resilient, usually if there was just one thing wrong, one little trigger, we can skate through it. We can adapt, we're fine. It's when these triggers start adding up and stacking up, and then we've got problems and stressors coming from many different directions on our body systems that things get out of balance, and then one system kind of goes and then leans on the other one and leans on the other one, and you get this domino effect of problems everywhere. How that manifests is a list of symptoms a mile long, right? And there's common symptoms like fatigue, exhaustion, low energy, brain fog, weird pains, chronic pains, wandering pains, right? Pains that won't heal, old injuries that just keep barking at you. These kinds of things. Digestive issues, anxiety, depression, low libido, mood changes, right? And of course, like we're talking about now, sleep trouble. It's another one. And that's just the top few. Okay, people have all kinds of issues like neurological vibrations where they just feel like they're shaking inside. People can get palpitations where you feel your heart just wham, just thumping in your chest for seemingly no reason. Okay, there's a lot of stuff that starts to happen because symptoms are a sign that your body systems are trying to rebalance somehow, right? Symptoms are your body talking to you if you know how to read them. Symptoms are something that conventionally we try to suppress because they're unpleasant and uncomfortable. And what I'm offering here and what I'm suggesting is a massive paradigm shift where instead of trying to fight symptoms, right? Instead we dive in, even though it's unpleasant, completely unpleasant, we dive in and we actually try to decode and listen to what our body's saying because all these things carry a message, right? Which is really pretty cool if you can realize that your body is talking to you all the time. You can constantly be in communication with your body, and then from there you can give it what it needs. So some of these symptoms like sleep trouble, it's actually a message, right? Even though it's frustrating because I'm exhausted and I can't sleep. Catch 22, right? I'm a hot mess. That's what people say. Well, we need to look at this. We need to interpret this sign. So, okay, we're going to look at our body systems. Immune first, then digestive, then neuroadrenal, then blood circulation. In that order. That's where we're going to go. This is how I take people through a process where we undo a lot of these issues. It's got to be logical. It's got to make sense. And it's got to have an order that your body actually needs. There's a biological order of operations. Pretty cool. Once I learned this, my whole practice changed. I started helping people in a much more efficient way, much less backsliding, right? There still can be backslides because life's not perfect, but it's really cleaned up and improved the odds and the chances of people getting better and getting their life back and having those chances, having those improvements stick, right? That's a big difference. So immune, what's your immune system have to do with sleep? A ton, okay? When we're sleeping, I have a theory about this. I kind of like this idea is that when we're sleeping, we go unconscious. And one of the reasons to go unconscious is because the immune work, the repair that happens of our body, cleaning itself and taking care of old cells that need to be eliminated and all this stuff, the construction that happens is incredibly painful, right? So it's better to be unconscious for that. It's like you need to be asleep and kind of checked out because your immune system is like renovating your body every night. And if you're awake during that, it'd be agony, okay? So there's a lot that happens. Now we have to have, in order for that to happen, we have to have an immune system that is specific, that's not just bogged down with generalized inflammation. I hope this is making sense because anybody can close their eyes and be unconscious for a while, but that doesn't mean that those immune processes are actually going to happen or not. So if you have trouble healing, For example, I've met plenty of people where they bump a counter and now they've got a bruise for like a month, or they get an injury and it just doesn't heal. I just don't heal like other people. Most likely what's happening is during the sleep time where that work is supposed to be getting done, you're not having that quality level of sleep and the work isn't able to get done. And the first component we look at is an immune component, because if your immune system's busy and distracted and smoldering, meaning there's just generalized inflammation all over the place, then of course it's not going to be very efficient at night either, right? Why does the immune system get distracted? Well, with complex chronic health conditions, oftentimes there's a hidden pathogen component, meaning there's something in your body that doesn't necessarily belong there that your immune system's trying to work out what to do with this. Could it be viral? Could it be bacterial? Could it be fungal? Could it be heavy metals? Could it be pesticides? Could it be microplastics? Right? Could it be all kinds of things? There's so much stuff in our environment affecting us that doesn't belong in our bodies. Some of it's iatrogenic, which means comes from medicine, right? There are some things which I can't really talk about on this platform so much, right? These are the things we talk about in our group, which I'll tell you about our group in a little bit. If you're not familiar with that, we can have a little bit more open conversations without censorship, which is great. But there are different things that come from even medical interventions that now get in our body and they're stuck there. And the immune system now has to learn how to deal with that. And that will manifest into trouble with sleep. Meaning you can go to sleep, but your immune system's not doing the work it's supposed to be doing during sleep time, right? It's a catch-22. We also have to have the right amount of inflammation. It takes a little bit of inflammation to actually fall asleep. So sometimes people have trouble falling asleep because their immune system's so fatigued, so wiped out, that it can't even generate the immune response, that mild bit of inflammation necessary to help us actually fall asleep. Interesting to consider. Now, another one's digestion. And I mentioned earlier, I know I've talked about a lot of stuff in this video. I'm keeping it very, very dense. You might need to watch this again or take notes, which is fine. That's how this channel is designed. I want to give you a lot of information and help you. And maybe that means you got to rewatch something, which is okay. So digestion, right? I already mentioned not eating very late, because if we're full of food, right, then that food is just stagnating in our digestive system while we're lying down horizontal sleeping. Imagine, okay, your digestive system's a tube, it's a pipe, right? You put food in there and it needs to move through the pipe. If you're eating and then you're upright and you're walking and that motion is helping everything move, then you're going to have easier time digesting, right? But if you just throw some food in the pipe and then lay down flat, gravity's not working with you, there's no movement, it's just sitting there. And what's happening in there is it's starting to ferment, right? So you're starting to create like a compost pile in your guts, which isn't necessarily going to be helpful for you in terms of your gut biome, your bacteria balance, which then affects your immune system. And we're back to where we started with stage 1 here. So you want to make sure that your practices, meaning what do you shove in your face, right? And how late in the day do you do that, are aligned to your goals. You want to have a smooth and easy time with digestion, especially around bedtime. So minimal foods at night, right? This is a general guideline. I'm not your doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice, right? That's not what this channel is for. This channel is for opening your mind to new possibilities. And this is one way to start to look at these things. So in Eastern medicine, which is where a lot of my training is, there are different causes for insomnia, right? I've got a very strong background in Eastern medicine. And it's really interesting because when you look at complaints and problems, the typical knee-jerk response in medicine is to oppose them, right? I'm having insomnia. Okay, here's a sedative, right? Take this med. Push you back down, right? Shut up, brain, go to sleep. Well, really, we can work tangentially, we can work obliquely, we can work systematically. And one of the causes in Eastern medicine of insomnia is what they call food stagnation, which is basically a bunch of food stuck in your guts, because you ate too late, or you're having poor mobility, or you've already got bacterial overgrowth problems or some kind of other issue with dysbiosis in your digestive system, right? So these are all things you need to handle in order. The first thing is get that immune specificity. Try to handle the pathogen load. Try to get that down. There are different strategies to do this, right? There are different ways. Like I prefer herbs. There are specific herbs that I really like to use with the people I work with. That's what they do. They help with immune specificity. They help to take out some of the pathogens that are there. And really, it just gets your body better at doing what it's supposed to do in the first place. It just needs a nudge, right? But you want to do that first and then go for your digestion, because now you want to make sure you don't have leaky gut. You don't have other things that are backwards infiltrating your immune system through the gut, which are then undermining the progress you made in the first stage. Okay. Now the next one, neuroadrenal. This is where most people tend to start with sleep, right? Neuroadrenal, that means stress. Okay, basically that's what we're talking about here. It's just chronic and acute stress and just being tense, right? My mind is spinning, I can't calm down, that kind of thing. If we start there, then we miss out on the opportunity to get our immune system dialed in. We miss out on the opportunity to get our digestion dialed in. And now we're starting on stage 3, which is skipping steps, which tends to give you some results, but it's not a long-term fix, especially if you have chronic inflammatory condition. Because getting the nervous system calmed down isn't necessarily going to help with the pathogen load or the inflammation, right? However, there's a lot we can do about stress. There's simple things like talking to people, right? Getting things off your chest, laughing, these kinds of don't underestimate the power of that. Some of the best medicine is very simple and is just a human birthright, basically, that we've gotten away from somehow in our culture. Part of my job is to rein that back in and say, listen, this is powerful, this is potent, right? Talk to each other, get things out, start setting good boundaries, right? And of course, there's like special breathing techniques. There's also herbs that are, very soothing to the nervous system. I would offer that that's not the place to start, even though it seems counterintuitive, right? That we want to start with sedating our nervous system, right? But whether you use pharmaceuticals or herbs, it's the same approach. It's the same idea, is to go straight for the nervous system, when really most times, as I've said, and I hope I'm really bringing this home, trouble sleeping in the face of complex chronic inflammatory conditions is oftentimes firstly an immune issue. Secondarily, it's a digestive issue. And only at third place, right, bronze medal is actually going after the nervous system. This is something to really consider. Okay, so if you've tried, which most people have, melatonin, some valerian, anything that like aids sleep or tries to make you rest, right? And these are the non-pharmaceutical interventions. Of course, there's pharmaceuticals like crazy that they're advertising as sleep aids. And that's a whole other topic, because what they can do, they will knock you out. They can knock you out. But what that does create is that third type of insomnia where you're knocked out, but you're not actually getting the quality of sleep that you need. So on the surface, it looks like you're sleeping, but deep down, none of the actual work is getting done. So you still wake up tired and exhausted. It's quite interesting. It's a bit of a veneer, right? And sometimes it helps people, but for the most part, I've seen everybody I've ever met that's taking sleeping aids, pharmaceutical sleeping aids, they always want to get off them. And I always ask, well, why? Like, why is it that, you're taking them, you want to get off them? And they can just feel, a lot of times people have a hard time articulating this, but they can just feel like they're not working right, or there's some kind of trade-off. And I'm here to tell you that biologically, I think that's true, right? There does seem to be a trade-off, meaning you get knocked out, you're technically asleep, but the good things of sleep, the benefits aren't happening, right? It's kind of empty. So oftentimes we don't even want to start there anyway, right? Start towards the roots of the problem, which tends to be inflammatory, especially if you have other symptoms that suggest a clinical picture, right? Like brain fog, of course, the fatigue, like I've said, the exhaustion, and then chronic pains, weird pains, right? And if you know that you have a pathogen or some kind of exposure, or, you've been dealing with pesticides or heavy metals or some kind of injury from a medical treatment, right? All these kinds of things, it starts to paint a picture where you go, we need to focus at the top first. So these are some of the tips, right? Of course, there are other things like, keep your room cool. I mentioned blue blocking glasses, get a good pillow, right? Some people like a weighted blanket. There's a lot of stuff you can do to kind of biohack sleep or to try to replicate ancestral conditions, which is good. Like I said, treat yourself like a human first. Do all those things to optimize the human nature of, waking up in the morning, going to sleep at night and all that. And then if you still need help, it's time to troubleshoot your body in order, right? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4. These are the kinds of things, by the way, that we talk about in our group. I've got a whole separate group. It's a chat group, and we're off of big tech. It's a private group. It's pretty small. I keep it around 100 or 200 people. That way I can get to know the folks that are in there, answer their questions, right? That's where you interact with me. I'm not going to be answering comments on YouTube because I'm in my group, right? I'm actually having real conversations with people that are invested in learning and growing and getting better. So if you are struggling with complex chronic health conditions, just know you don't have to do it alone. There are a bunch of positive people. We're international, right? It's amazing. And they're waiting for you, right? It's people just like you. We have a great community. Everybody's at various stages of their healing journey, and it's a wonderful place to be. It's free to join. There's a link in the description for that if that interests you. You've got a vault of resources, interactive videos that I've made that are just separate for members of our group. You could ask me anything and basically watch over my shoulder as I'm troubleshooting cases in real time, right? Where my clients in Europe or other parts of the world are asking questions about, well, here's what I've done. Here's so far what's happened. I'm feeling good. This is changing. This is changing. I hit a trigger. I hit a backslide. How do we troubleshoot this? You can watch right over my shoulder right there. Ask me anything you want. So it's a great group. And I would recommend that if that speaks to you, fill out the application. And if it's a good fit, I'll get back to you and we'll get you in there. There may be a bit of a wait, but I'll try to get you in within the next monthly batch. So hopefully it's not too long of a wait. In the meantime, you might consider subscribing to this channel so that you can see more videos like this that are helpful, so that instead of binging on Netflix and watching just passive entertainment and scrolling, you can actually be learning things that help you start to get your health back and get your life back, because you've got a lot to do with your life. You don't want to be sitting around on forums, Dr. Google, right, trying to learn everything you have to learn to become your own doctor ad nausea, when really you could just be focused on the main things that are going to move the needle for you to get your health back. All right, so we talked about insomnia, getting good night's sleep. When you get a good night's sleep, you wake up and the world is yours, right? And that's what I want for you. And you need to start looking, no matter what kinds of interventions you're using, you can start to organize them, right? Maybe you don't like herbs. It doesn't matter. Pharmaceutical supplements, whatever you're using, start to organize your plan so that you're really dealing with that immune inflammation first and getting that handled before you're skipping steps all the way up to like sleep aids and sedatives. All right, your future self will thank you. It'll do you a favor in the long run. All right, cheers.